We're going to create a light beam effect by using volumetric lighting with the Maya MentalRay. Okay, let's go ahead and start it. And this is the set as the sphere and the plan to work with the light. Is we're going to create the light spotlight. Okay, by I'm going to just place the light above the sphere, so the light will cast shadow to it. This light has two nodes. This is the manipulator has turned on, and so this is the look at node. I can just snap to the sphere where the light is going to look at it. And the other one is the light fixture itself. Okay, and I'm going to just press Q to get out here. I'm going to give a cone angle like a 100. Okay, and then now we're going to just go ahead render. Before we are starting render, we want to make sure the MentalRay plugin is turned on. So go to Windows, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and make sure Maya MentalRay is loaded. Okay, check on the render settings and make sure in the common area the render option enable default light is off. This will ensure that we are just working with this one light, and render will be using MentalRay. We are going to start at first test rendering. So the light is working, that's so good. I'm going to go back and have a settings. Okay, the layout, 3 panels, split the bottom, and with this one I can have the render panel here, the hyper shader window here on the left, and the render view on the right. Okay, we want to cast a shadow, and so go to the shadow section under the light. There's a shadow, and we want to make sure that ray trace shadow attributes is turned on. Okay, we want to change the decay rate. By default, the decay rate is set to non-decay, which means light ray will go infinite, which is unrealistic. We want to be more realistic, so we are going to choose a quadratic. Let's render again, and it's all black, which is expected because with the light rate, decay rate set to quadratic, the light is very small, so the intensity needs to be increased so we can see the light. Okay, and I want to see render. Okay, that's fine. All right, now I'm going to go to turn on the fog, light fog. So it is under the, let's go to light effect here, and the light fog, click on this check button, and it will automatically create the light fog node for this light. Now once it is applied, Maya created this cone shape. If we turn this, deselect this, you will see the blue cone shape object there. This is a kind of a container for the particles. Render again, and it's not really looking good, but we do see the fog is already started. And now we are going to make some changes to make the light beam work for us. So first I'm going to scale it along the z-axis to make the cone shape look like a beam. And I'm going to move up a little bit more, and I wanted to render again, and this is much better, right? So I might want to just go ahead and turn this one to 2000, and now let's render again. I want to see enough of light shining on this object. We got the light beam, but it's not interesting enough. To make the beam look more interesting, we wanted to add some smoke effect, like the smoke across the beams. To make that happen, we want to make some changes on fog intensity. First, let's talk about fog spread. Fog spread is only for spotlight. It determines how the fog brightness varies across the spotlight beam. A high fog spread value produces fog with uniform brightness shooting from the cone of a spotlight. A low fog spread value produces a fog which is brighter at the center of the spotlight beam and foggier at the end. By default, the setting is 1. Let's leave it as it is. And now let's talk about the fog intensity. Fog intensity determines the brightness of the fog. It's the same like light's intensity, also influences the brightness of illuminated fog. The default is 1, and you can change the slider and go different intensity. However, we are going to apply texture to fog intensity to create a more interesting look of the light beam. So we are going to use a 2D texture that is a fractal. And now let's render again. And that gives us some smoky look of like the light beam, which is interesting. What we're going to do next is we're going to add more effects light beam. By doing so, we're going to create a 3D texture for this fog. Okay, so by doing that, I'm going back to Spotlight and going to the light fog node. We're going to texture the fog color by using a 3D texture node. So click on the check button here, and in the 3D texture section, we choose a solid fractal. Okay, now let's render again. Now obviously it already gave us some very interesting effect. And I wanted you to look at the scene, and then you see there is our green box. We didn't add this one here. Maya did that for us. This is the 3D texture node placement, and we can see it. The utility is right here. In this utility node, you can animate its transformation node to see some kind of smoke moving across the light beam effect. So let's render this one again since we moved it, and well, it's not far enough. Let's render again, and if we look at the before, let's render again by changing it. So let's compare with what we have before. See the changes, right? And this will give us a very interesting look of the light beam. Now, I want to change a couple of things. First, the fog is not seen enough, and this is because the fog is not either dense enough or it's not bright enough. And I wanted to change another attribute to help us see more fog down here. Okay, so go to the light, and we're going to the fog node. This time I'm going to change the density. I'm going to change it to 10 and render again. That looks good, except the ball supposed to block the fog, and it didn't see that. We needed to make some changes to let the fog cast a shadow on that ball. So this has to do with these particles, right? So we needed to go to the cone shape node, which is here, and the render states. We are going to turn on volume samples override. By default, it is off. By turning it on, you override the global settings. I'm going to crank this up to 5. And now let's take a look at the rendering. And now maybe we want to move it down more so we can see better. Now we can see it is casting the shadow of the fog. Okay, that's it. Thank you.